Oh, the internet we grew up with. The quirky websites, the golden age of YouTube, the unforgettable memes. All feels like a distant memory now. What once felt like a digital playground has now become something far different. But what happened? And why does nostalgia for the old internet feel stronger than ever? Well, in this video, we're diving deep into the rise and fall of internet culture, history, and of course nostalgia, exploring how the web has changed and whether the era we once loved is truly gone for good. Now, let's take a trip back to the past. The internet of the early 2000s was a vastly different landscape compared to the streamlined, algorithmic-driven platforms of today. It was an era of discovery, creativity, and a sense of limitless possibility. The web was still in its adolescence, and unlike today's heavily centralized platforms, it was a chaotic and fascinating place where individuality thrived. For those who grew up during this time, the internet wasn't just a tool, it was an adventure as well. In the early 2000s, social media as we knew it barely existed. Instead, people found their online identities through blogs, forums, and personal websites. Platforms like LiveJournal, XGina, and Blogger gave internet users a place to share their thoughts, stories, and creative ideas with an audience, often just friends or small online communities. The experience was personal and unfiltered, free from the influence of today's massive content algorithms. Forums and message boards were the blood and heartbeat of internet subcultures. Websites like Neopet forums, Gia Online, Something Awful, and PHP boards allowed people to engage in discussions about niche interests from anime to video game modding. These communities weren't dictated by engagement metrics, but instead thrived on organic interaction and deep discussions. And let me tell you, there was an authenticity in these interactions that almost feels lost in today's social media, where visibility is controlled by AI-driven algorithms. This period also marked the rise of early social networking sites like Friendster and MySpace. MySpace in particular stood out as a digital canvas for creativity. Users could customize their pages with HTML and CSS embedded music and design their own online personas. Unlike today's uniform social media profiles, MySpace allowed for self-expression in ways that are now considered impractical in the corporate-dominated internet as we know it today. And if there was one thing that the early 2000s internet excelled at, it was entertainment. Unlike today's high-budget streaming services, much of the web's content was driven by passionate amateur creators. Flash games and animations ruled the online world, with sites like Newgrounds, Albino, Black Sheep, and Miniclip serving as hubs for endless hours of entertainment. Newgrounds in particular played a vital role in shaping internet culture. It was a breeding ground for creativity, with independent animators and game developers uploading content that often pushed the boundaries of humor and style. Flashy animations like the Ultimate Showdown of Ultimate Destiny, Salad Fingers, and Happy Tree Friends became viral phenomenons long before YouTube took over as the primary video sharing platform. And speaking of YouTube, its launch in 2005 marked the beginning of a new era. In its earliest days, it was an unregulated goldmine of creative freedom long before corporate influence and algorithmic saturation. YouTube was dominated by amateur videos, vlogs, and bizarre experiments. It was a time of Smosh, Fred, Charlie the Unicorn, and Numa Numa Guy all becoming household names through the power of viral sharing. The charm of this era was that content was made purely for fun, not for monetization or brand deals one bit. And while the online gaming in the early 2000s was not just about competition, it was about social interaction. Classics like RuneScape, Habbo Hotel, and Club Penguin were more than just games. They were virtual communities where people formed friendships, role-played, and engaged in digital economics. Unlike today's heavily monetized microtransaction-based games, these platforms fostered a more organic sense of community. MMORPGs like World of Warcraft and EverQuest introduced people to the concept of massive online worlds where thousands of players could interact simultaneously. These experiences were immersive, requiring collaboration and long-term investment, something that has become rare in the era of mobile, console, and PC gaming alike. The late 2000s to early 2010s marked a significant shift in digital history, giving rise to a uniquely vibrant and defining internet culture. This period is widely remembered with deep nostalgia, symbolizing a collective digital youth characterized by creativity, spontaneity, and a sense of communal belonging. And at the heart of this era's online culture was YouTube, which transitioned from a relatively unknown platform to the world's leading video sharing site. Early YouTube culture was distinctively grassroots, defined by the creators themselves rather than corporate agendas or algorithms. Pioneers like Shane Dawson, Jenna Marbles, Ray William Johnson, and of course PewDiePie began their careers during this period. creating content that resonated authenticity with millions. While the spark of this early YouTube community was its organic nature, creators were relatable individuals filming from their bedrooms rather than polished studios, establishing an unprecedented intimacy between content creators and their audience. Alongside YouTube, social media platforms such as Tumblr and Reddit were thriving centers of niche internet culture. Tumblr in particular became synonymous with aesthetic creativity, social activism, and fan communities that defined a generation of internet users. It was a platform that celebrated individuality and creativity, from niche fandoms and subcultures to the rise of internet art movements such as vaporwave and aesthetics influenced by nostalgia and retro technology. Meanwhile, Reddit represented a diverse cross-section of internet society, serving as a space where trends, memes, and significant online cultural phenomenons were created and propagated. This platform played a pivotal role in spreading viral memes, images, and internet humor. Memes like Advice Animals, Forever Alone, Success Kid, and Trollface became cultural touchstones, capturing the universal experiences, sentiments, and humor of an online generation, while the rise of image-based humor on platforms like Reddit and 4chan marked a shift toward the bizarre, universally understood visual humor transcendent language barriers and geography. This era was also defined by the proliferation of trolling and viral phenomenons such as Rickrolling, which involved unsuspectingly directing someone to Rick Ashley's Never Gonna Give You Up, which became a cultural rite of passage. Other phenomenons like Chocolate Rain, Charlie Bit My Finger, Gundam Style, and Harlem Shake not only brought millions of people together, but also blurred the lines between mainstream and internet-driven pop culture. These viral moments signaled a newfound power of the online community to shape global culture. Additionally, the late 2000s to early 2010s witnessed the rapid evolution of online gaming communities. Games such as Minecraft, World of Warcraft, and Call of Duty fostered vibrant interactive communities. Minecraft especially became more than a game. It became a creative platform, allowing unprecedented freedom of expression, collaboration, and community building, while the accessibility of high-speed internet and widespread adoption of smartphones accelerated the evolution of internet culture during this period. The transition to mobile internet drastically increased online engagement, further intertwining with everyday life with digital culture, while social interactions became more immediate and widespread, creating a sense of constant connectivity. But this shift towards mobile also foreshadowed significant changes. The spontaneity and authenticity of early internet culture slowly started giving way to monetization and commercialization. By the mid-2010s, corporate influences began to dominate platforms like YouTube and Instagram, where algorithms dictated what content rose to popularity, replacing the previous demographic, user-driven approach, while internet culture as a whole became increasingly mainstream, losing much of its original unique charm. This commercialization marked a turning point, leading to what is often seen as the decline of authentic internet nostalgia. The purity of community-driven content gave way to carefully curated, algorithmically promoted trends, while online communities gradually fragmented into increasingly isolated subcultures and fandoms. The early to mid-2010s witnessed a significant transformation in internet culture, making what many characteristically perceive as its decline. While the previous era was characterized by creativity, spontaneity, and authentic user-driven content, this subsequent period saw a raw pronounced shift towards commercialization, algorithmic saturation, and fragmentation, collectively contributing to the perceived death of internet nostalgia. One of the most impactful changes was the growing commercialization of platforms that had previously thrived on organic grassroots creativity. YouTube, once a haven for amateur creators, became dominated by monetization strategies, ad revenue, corporate sponsorships, and branded content shifted the focus from genuine creativity to algorithmically driven and financially viable content. Popular creators who once embodied authenticity gradually transitioned into brands themselves, often losing the intimate connection they had previously shared with their audiences. Simultaneously, platforms such as Instagram, Facebook, and Twitter underwent similar commercialization processes. The introduction of algorithms designed to optimize user engagement fundamentally altered content visibility. Content became heavily tailored to meet algorithmic expectations, diminishing the authenticity and spontaneity that had defined earlier internet culture. Users and creators found themselves increasingly compelled to adhere to strict content guidelines to maintain visibility and profitability. In turn, stifling creativity and originality. This period also experienced significant shifts within online communities. Tumblr, for instance, faced declining popularity due to controversial policy changes and ineffective monetization efforts, driving away the vibrant communities and niche interests that once defined the platform, while Reddit, another cornerstone of earlier internet culture, became increasingly mainstream, with moderation controversies and corporate influences diluting the original user-driven ethos. The erosion of these community spaces further fragmented online culture, scattering once unified digital subcultures, instead conjuring isolated and insular communities. With the rise of mobile internet technology enhancing accessibility, it also contributed to the decline of authentic internet culture. Social media apps optimized for short addictive content furthered the superficiality and immediacy of online interactions, overshadowing the longer-form, meaningful discussions and engagement, while platforms like Vine optimized this trend, prompting brief, instantly gratifying content over the deeper community-driven interactions of the earlier internet era. While these platforms provided entertainment, they reduced digital interactions to fleeting moments of engagement rather than sustained, meaningful community interactions. Additionally, the proliferation of misinformation, online toxicity, and cyberbullying marked another detrimental shift during this era. The once playful and often humorous nature of internet interactions increasingly gave way to hostile exchanges, polarizing debates, and harmful behaviors. This deterioration of digital discourse diminished a sense of community, prompting many users to withdraw or seek more moderated and less engaging spaces online. While online gaming communities also face significant challenges, games once celebrated for creativity and community engagement, such as Minecraft, became increasingly commercialized, with corporate acquisitions leading to significant shifts in community dynamics. Monetization, microtransactions, loot boxes, and subscription services created a divide between players and developers, resulting in tensions that fragmented previously cohesive gaming communities. And by the mid-2010s, the transformation of internet culture became widely evident, characterized by a clear departure from its earlier ideals. Authentic community engagement, creativity, and spontaneous cultural phenomena had largely given way to more corporate and curated digital landscape. This transformation profoundly impacted user experiences, creating nostalgia for a seemingly dwindling golden age of internet culture. The period after 2013 marks a significant turning point, as the turning year of the death of old-school internet culture, a profound loss of authentic, spontaneous, and community-driven ideals that once defined online culture. The shift away from early internet values towards commercialization and algorithmic online content fundamentally altered the online landscape. While earlier internet culture thrived on genuine interactions, creative expression, and organic community building, platforms like YouTube, Tumblr, Reddit, and early social networks were spaces of personal discovery and meaningful connections, where authenticity mattered more than popularity or profits. However, following 2013, the rise of corporate-driven content, algorithmic saturation, and influencer culture eroded these fundamental ideals. User experiences became dictated by algorithms aimed at maximizing engagement rather than fostering genuine creativity or meaningful connections. Content became standardized and predictable, losing the originality and spontaneity that had characterized earlier digital ideals. Moreover, increased polarization, digital toxicity, and superficial online interactions further fragmented communities, weakening the sense of belonging and shared identity that once thrived online. The authentic digital spaces users nostalgically remember were replaced by carefully managed, monetized environments. While today, many users mourn the loss of the old-school internet ideals, authenticity, creativity, and genuine community, this shift signifies not merely a change in online trends, but a profound loss of digital renaissance and the authentic cultural experiences that once defined internet nostalgia. Although internet culture may not be the same as it once was, digital nostalgia still lives on despite these changes. The essence of internet nostalgia still persists, such as in the Gen Z golden age of YouTube throughout the years of 2016 to 2019. During this period, internet culture continued to reflect the values and humor of previous generations, albeit in a more spiritual and fragmented form, such as viral trends, memes, and digital subcultures still echoed the spirit of creativity and community that initially defined the internet. Ultimately, while the original form of internet nostalgia may have diminished, its influence lives on, shaping the digital interactions and cultural memories of newer generations. This continued presence underscores how deeply embedded nostalgia remains within our collective digital experiences. And with that, I've been Skipperson, and I hope y'all have a great day.